Good afternoon, boys and girls, and with a delay of about 2 minutes, which was caused by the fact that I was having an issue with getting this thing into landscape rather than portrait mode, with a delay of 2 minutes, for which I apologise. Welcome to this single brand episode of Love at First Scent, the sort of episode that I've started to call a mini episode because rather than doing an hour-long trawl through a few new releases, we are just going to do one thing today, look at one particular brand, and we're also actually going to have a go in a kind of way at making a perfume, but I will explain all in a moment. And let me please just bear with me while I just check out on the tablet to make sure that everything is okay, because that is probably also my only way of seeing messages from you. Is this going to be a bad technology day today? Right, hello to Maria, hello to Peggy, thank you very much for tuning in. Please keep comments and questions coming, although as I say, today we are just going to be looking at one brand, and it is a very interesting sort of brand because it is a brand that actually invites you. Angeline, hello as well. I've got a slightly different setup today, which means that that thing that I'm pointing at now that I'm looking at, my little monitor thing, is further away. So I'm probably going to have to look at the tablet more. If there are any technical issues with today's broadcast, please feel free to bring them to my attention. Thank you to everybody for tuning in, first of all. Please keep the thumbs up and the hearts and all of those sorts of symbols coming. If you are watching after the live broadcast on Facebook, please feel free to leave a message or ask a question. I always try to get back to people. And as per usual, this video will eventually find its way on YouTube. So if you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe to my channel. Please leave a comment or ask a question. It is always great to hear from you, and it makes all of this much more enjoyable and much more worthwhile. But the subject of today's video, which I promise I will try to keep brief, we're going to go for 15 minutes max. Let's see if we can manage it, although a lot of that, depends on you and how many questions you ask. This is the debut collection. Hang on, let's do a little pose here. Let me cover up my Japanese incense girl. Sorry, Japanese incense girl. Hang on, I can't get my head around the symmetry of this. Right, let's do this. Okay. Posing. Smiling and posing. Right, this is the debut collection from Experimental Perfume Club, and it's called, in this set anyway, it's called Layers number 1. What is Experimental Perfume Club? Those of you who are perfume lovers based in the UK may be aware that it's something that was set up a few years ago. I want to say maybe 2 years ago, but if I'm wrong, please correct me, by somebody called Emmanuelle Meuglin, who is a French woman who has lived in the UK for a little while. She is, I hope I don't get this wrong, she has certainly done a fair amount of professional perfumery training, but I think the area that she specialised in was being a perfume evaluator. She has got a fair amount of experience in the industry, and what she did a little while ago was that she set up this Experimental Perfume Club in London, and the idea was that people could do courses where they would come along, play around with a few raw materials, be guided by Emmanuelle, and actually end each half-day session by making the first draft of a perfume and experiencing to some extent the kind of process that a professional perfumer might go through to create a composition. The courses certainly used to run as half-day courses, a sort of beginner's one and an advanced one. You could do both on the same day. I did do one a few months ago. It may even have been more than a year ago. And it was great fun. You don't go in there expecting to, come out having made aromatics elixir or something like that. But if you haven't ever been exposed to raw materials, it's interesting smelling them in isolation. It's interesting seeing how they might interact with each other. And it's also actually fun spending a half day or a day with like-minded individuals who enjoy delving into the world of smells and scents. And Emmanuelle herself is a very, very genial, very warm, very accommodating, very supportive instructor or teacher, and she's always happy to answer questions afterwards. But unsurprisingly, she has also decided to go into the retail sector of the industry, in no small way because this debut collection is at the moment exclusive to Liberties of London, although I would imagine it's also available online through the Experimental Perfume Club website. And I think we should just get straight into it. This is probably the way that it's best experienced, through this set, because the set really showcases exactly what the brand wants you to do with this. I'm missing a few comments. Diego says hello. Thanks very much for tuning in, Diego. And Anne gives me an emoji wave, so I'll give you a real wave back. Thumbs up and hearts coming through, please. So you get, very neatly wrapped in tissue paper, the goodies in this set, with a little sticker saying "Scent is a story." And let me try and do this without dropping it. What you then find, can you see that? What you then find is 3 bottles of scent, and each one is 8 mils. So 3 8 mils bottles of scent, and an empty bottle. I'm really struggling with my left and right. It's because my monitor is kind of not doing an exact mirror image, and you get this empty bottle. So you have got something that, because this is layers number 1, you have got in your set top number 1, mid number 1, and base number 1. Top number 1 is Bergamot Incense. That's, you know, no rocket science there. It is exactly what it says here. Mid number 1 is Jasmine Osmanthus, and base number 1 is Sandalwood and Musk. Now, each of these is designed to be wearable as a standalone individual perfume. And indeed, you can go into Liberty and you can buy them as standalone individual perfumes in larger bottles. I forget exactly what size they're in. I don't think you can buy them individually in this size, but I may be wrong. Go onto the Experimental Perfume Club website and you'll find out. So if you like Bergamot Incense as a perfume on its own, you go in and buy it, and you don't have to worry about the rest of the stuff around the brand. But what the brand actually would like you to do, or invites you to do, in the spirit of the fact that it's the Experimental Perfume Club, is that they want you to fill this empty bottle, this empty spray bottle, with some kind of composition that you've made yourself. And they also give you a few ideas in their booklet, a few sample formulas, a few recipes. And you can go into Liberty and also buy empty vials, although you don't have to use these. I suppose you could get any spray bottle, and you get a little dropper, you get a little pipette, which is why I said that in today's session we are going to make a perfume. So we're gonna have a go at one of the formulas, one of the sample formulas. But I think what we should actually do first, because this is love at first scent, we should smell the actual standalone perfumes. I have just tried these once in a very, very noisy setting, actually at Liberty, and I deliberately didn't try them again because I thought this would be fun to do as a live video. So I'll spray them in a moment. I just want to sort of read a few bits of the booklet to you. It starts off with this idea of it says scent is a story. Just like a story, it has a beginning, middle, and end. Because you're watching this, you know this already. Just like a story, the beginning must draw you in with impact, the middle must have true imagination and emotion, and the end must stay with you long after you've walked away. So what's your story? It says. And then there is the introduction. Welcome to the first fragrance collection by Experimental Perfume Club. Tell your own scented story with 3 distinct fragrance layers. Wear each fragrance in the collection on its own, or blend them with the other layers to create your own personal scent. Well, up to a point. Each layer represents the top, middle, and base, the 3 parts that constitute the backbone of any fragrance architecture. The layers fragrances within a collection are designed to complement one another, blend layers from different collections for endless variations, and create unique fragrances found nowhere else. And then it's got a description of the top one, the mid one, and the base one. And then a few instructions, and as I say, a few formula ideas. And actually, to be fair to them, I think what we'll do is we'll follow one of these formula ideas in a moment. But let's actually just smell them. When I was talking to Emmanuelle Merglin, she explained, unsurprisingly, because actually if you start thinking about this project, you immediately get to working out what the challenges may have been, she said that the most difficult thing was to create formula that would work by themselves, would work in isolation, but would also complement being in other compositions. And so you will not be surprised to hear me say that taken on their own, they're not terribly multi-dimensional. That's what I thought the first time I tried them, and I guess that there was no way that they could be, because if you put three very, very, very complex compositions together, you might actually end up with a bit of a horrible mess. And so Emmanuel's challenge was to create things that would offer some kind of interest and be perfectly wearable by themselves and not come across just as single ingredients, but also still work in combination with other things. And you can imagine, even if you've never done any perfumery yourself, that it's probably quite a hard thing to pull off. Anyway, this is the Bergamot Incense. Yeah, and sure enough, it starts off with an immediate burst of the citrus, the slightly smoky citrus that you always associate with bergamot. If you've never smelt bergamot oil itself, think Earl Grey, like a good quality Earl Grey. And I think it's also because of Earl Grey. Stephen says hello back at you, Stephen. I like your avatar, Stephen. I must say I approve, but let's not go there today. What was I saying? We associate bergamot now with tea because, of course, it's used in Earl Grey, but it's difficult to sort of know whether we associate it with tea because it started being used, or in Earl Grey, which was the chicken and which was the egg, if you see what I mean. A very, very, very clean, neat, streamlined bergamot, not unlike the Le Labo bergamot. And sure enough, the smoky note is picked up by the incense, and incense, of course, itself has a kind of lemony quality, and so the two play this tune quite well. And maybe just the hint of a sort of powdery, soapy quality towards the end. But yes, this is very, very top. It's very bright, but what it isn't, for example, is very overtly cologne-like. So this isn't the oranges and mandarins of Cologne Bigarade from Frederic Malle. It is more restrained than that. It is more toned down. If anything, it actually sort of starts heading into the territory of Eau Parfumée au Thé Vert from Bulgari. It isn't super effervescent, and I suppose that's where you might start imagining that's the sort of evidence of the challenges in creating these, because if it had been really extremely overtly cologne-like and sparkling and super distinct as an orange or a bitter orange or a mandarin, then it may not have been able to blend with the others so well. So this is all quite interesting, actually, sort of smelling these and then imagining how they might interact. So that's the top, and it would work perfectly well as a kind of citrus spritz. For example, on this incredibly warm October day, I can't imagine. I can't actually believe we're all first week into October, and we've got sort of temperatures in the south of England of about 21, 22 degrees. This is the mid, and from memory, I think this was the one that I was the least taken with. I remember when I first tried them, enjoying the top and enjoying the base, and kind of thinking that the middle was the least interesting. But maybe actually that is also a sign that the middle, because that's the part of the fragrance that really gives it its personality, the part of an overall composed fragrance, maybe this is the one that in a way had to be, I don't want to say the blandest, but because it's not bland at all, but maybe the one that had to be the least defined, the one that had to be the most accommodating, and so it shouldn't assert its own personality. Mind you saying that, it's actually smelling very good on the blotter right now. The jasmine note is quite solar, quite radiant, not overly indolic, but it's certainly neutral, says Angeline. Yes, actually, yeah. I guess this is the one that had to be the most neutral in a way. And neutral doesn't rest easily with us perfume aficionados, does it? We don't want things to be neutral, but it's got a nice indolic touch there, so it's not entirely tame, but you could imagine this as the kind of jasmine that would rest easily in quite a mainstream white floral composition. And it is made more pleasant, more approachable, more accessible with the inclusion of the sort of sweet apricot jam-like quality of osmanthus. And I would imagine lots and lots of people liking this, lots of people smelling this and thinking, this is a really nice, simple but not simplistic, because there's nothing wrong with things being simple, but this is a really nicely done, simple floral. There's something of the sort of Guerlain Aqua Allegorias about this, because of course they were famously simple accord perfumes, and this could have been, and the bergamot as well could have been an Aqua Allegoria. Actually, the bergamot is now, in contrast with the mid, coming across as even sharper. Peggy says, sounds like bog standard Chinese tea. Which one? The jasmine, or... I'm not thinking tea, but then I don't have much experience with Chinese tea, unless of course you mean the top one. So explain yourself, Peggy. Be clearer. I don't know what you mean. So there's the mid, and then I think we should go into the base, and that will be the hardest to smell on the blotter because it's sandalwood and musk, and a good sandalwood. Jasmine osmanthus, says Peggy. Thank you very much for clarifying, Peggy. Sorry if I come across as overly stern and teacher-like. So I want to try some Chinese tea then. If I've had jasmine tea, and yes, I suppose there is a feeling of that there. What do they call them? Do they call them jasmine pearls? That actually unfurl in hot water. This is sandalwood musk. How am I doing for time? There's no way I'm going to be able to stick to my 15-minute thing, am I? I can't even see the time now because the tablet... 15 minutes. I'm already at 16 minutes. I don't believe that. Right, we need to hurry up. Geez, where did that time go? I don't know. Stephen says, I had an osmanthus green tea a few years back that was spectacular. Who was it by? Can you remember? Was it like Mariage Frère or somebody like that? I was most dismayed yesterday because I found out that Mariage Frère don't do Lapsang Souchong anymore. And the chap told me at the counter, he says, but we haven't done it for 2 years, sir. And I thought, oh, God, I won't tell you how old the tea in my larder is then. Stephen says, this is the osmanthus season in China. Thank you very much. I did not know this. Right, sandalwood musk. The base note from the debut Layers collection from Experimental Perfume Club. I get something quite cedary here. You immediately sort of think pencil shavings, but suitably woody. And yes, okay, the kind of milky creaminess of sandalwood is coming through as well, and certainly that kind of sweet, kind of intimate body smell of musks. And it's spicy too. There is a spiciness here as well, and you kind of think there must be more to this than just the base notes, and again, that could be because of the challenge of creating a collection like this. If Emmanuel had just, really done heavy base notes here, this wouldn't have performed very well from the word go on paper. I have to say, I am personally more drawn to this base one because I like anything that's even vaguely cedar-like. But there we go. We've got the three. And they do genuinely work perfectly fine by themselves. The top is doing very, very well indeed at the moment, and a kind of woody quality to it is coming out as well. And our Chinese tea one is also perfectly pleasant. Maybe I was trying to say, is it neutral? Is it less assertive? It's also, I think, maybe the one that's the most predictable of the three, because even though all three of them tell you exactly what they are on their packaging, they do seem to offer facets that you weren't entirely expecting, whereas the Jasmine Osmanthus really is what it says it is, and I don't know, maybe you can't help but feel just a tiny little bit disappointed about a certain aspect of that. But anyway, there we go. We've got the three. I think we should now actually have a go at making one. I confess I cheated. Good morning from Michigan, says Kitty. Wow, hello to you. And what time is it there? Are you guys on New York time as well, or you were like an hour behind New York as well? But thank you very much for tuning in and for saying hello. I confess I did look at these formula ideas beforehand. They've got 4 ideas here. 2 for blending 3 of the materials together and 2 for just blending 2. And I must admit, I was drawn Eastern time zone, says Kitty. So I guess that is New York, right? Sorry. But yeah, I suppose it must be. Is it? Or I don't know. I'm sorry, I don't know about US time zones. But anyway, it doesn't matter. You've tuned in. That's the main thing. Thank you very much for tuning in. I am personally drawn to the one that they're calling number 3, spicy and woody. Which leaves out the jasmine and the osmanthus, and I think maybe that's what we'll go with, partially to save time. It says, for a strong contrast between fresh and warmth, this formula creates a woody citrus fragrance reminiscent of spicy black tea, which sounds pretty good to me. And by the way, there are also descriptions of the 3 individual layers. So for instance, for the sandalwood, it says that it does actually contain pink peppercorn and vetiver and ambroxan, so it isn't just sandalwood and musk. Kitty is saying again, 11:22. Yes, it is New York time zone. Great, I'm glad we've clarified that. Thank you very much. Thanks for tuning in. Seriously, though, I do appreciate it. Right, so I'm just so worried that this is going to go horribly wrong. I'm going to end up with liquid all over the place. Right, so I'm going to hang on. I need my formula. Emmanuel, if you do end up watching this and if I have done something wrong, please feel free to leave a comment saying, no, I told you people in the instructions, this is how you do it. But there you go. We will do the best we can. Right, let me get out the 2 that I'm going to need and let me just sort of clear up a bit of space. So I know I'm going to need the top and I'm going to need the base. And today I'm not going to do anything with the mid. So let's clear this up. Because I did my homework beforehand as well, I sort of noticed, hang on, let's see if you can see this. They have, it's probably not clear enough for you to see, but you've got gradations going here, which apparently are meant to represent milliliters. They seem really, quite large. I wonder if they're actually, I don't know, I suppose they must be. Maybe the bottle's really narrow, I don't know. I didn't do terribly well at GCSE chemistry. I did okay, but I didn't do brilliantly. Right, let's put this here. And apparently this is 8 mils as well, if you fill it all the way up to the top. So here we go. Can you see this? Actually, let's create a bit of height so you can see this better. Let's pop this on here. This is going to go so horribly wrong. Right, is this going to work? Okay, so we need 3 mils of the top bergamot. If I suddenly cut the video, then that's because I'm embarrassed by the fact that I've got liquid all over the place. This is going to take a while with this pipette. This is going to take forever. Emmanuel, you should have given us a pipette that filled up faster. Do you know what? Had I known that this is what was going to happen, I would have brought my plastic ones because I've got plastic pipette. So, how are you guys doing while I'm filling up this bottle? This is where you really need to ask me some questions now, people, because watching somebody fill 3 mils of perfume does not make for good video. So, who's going to watch the new Venom movie? Which apparently is meant to be as bad as Catwoman. I may have to do a faster version of this. I wonder if I should half the thing, so I could do 1.5 of the top and 2.5 of the base. Emmanuel, is that allowed for the Peggy's being hypnotized? Is that all it takes? This was a good idea at the time, people. I thought, yes, I will just make the perfume in front of them. I think what we'll do is we'll go for 1.5. I think we'll call that 1.5, right? This, by the way, is just some alcohol, okay? Because which is not provided in the set. You will not be surprised to learn. But that's just so that I don't contaminate. Oh, that was the one. Kitty says, how many scents have you tried this week? Do you know what? I can answer that question straight away. Not a vast number, actually. Today's been, not that today, but this week, which was the top? It matters. This week, Arafat says people watch all kinds of weird live videos. You'll be fine. Do you reckon? Thank you very much. Are you counting this as one of the weird videos, Mr. Ali Khan? I'm going to... No, never mind. We won't get into this. Have you seen A Star is Born? Anne, I'm going to see that tonight. Have you seen it yet? And do you know what? I'm not holding out great hopes. I don't know. I don't know the trailer. I just thought there's nothing else on. We'll go and see it. Angeline is thinking, I can't imagine how you were thinking this in 15 minutes. I can't either. Peggy, are you hypnotized yet? But no, hang on. Kitty's question. Oh, Peggy's told us she's bought 2 perfumes. Hold that thought, because we're going to ask you what they were. But Kitty says, how many scents have you tried this week? You're putting me on the spot now, but I should be kind of like doing this while I'm talking to you, right? So hang on, I need to go to 2.5, which means I need to get it to 4 mils in total. Okay. Have I ever told you people that I've I've sort of worked as a maths teacher? Okay, let's give this a bit of a... I'm not going to be using this alcohol again, just to make sure we don't contaminate things. Simple wipe. Arafat says this is the weirdest video. Oh, I think I'm about to break the pipette as well. This is like does who remembers Tomorrow's World? You know, where you actually watch Tomorrow's World to see if things go wrong. Okay, but how many perfumes have I tried this week? Probably the usual sort of 4 or 5. Just this morning, actually, I had another wear of Tokyo from the brand Gallivant. My initial impression of Tokyo, I have to say, was I wasn't overly enthusiastic about it. And when I'm not overly enthusiastic about a scent, I just sort of deliberately put it aside, because I think, okay, don't be unfair to it. Maybe you're just not in the right frame of mind for it. Maybe you need to come back to it in a different mode, in a different zone. And I did try it today, and various elements that I hadn't necessarily been aware of the first time around did come out. It's meant to be a very, very personal, a very, very, very idiosyncratic interpretation of Tokyo, and it is not meant to have any kind of suggestion of cherry blossom at all, because actually I think, for one thing, cherry blossom isn't necessarily even a Tokyo thing. It is a Japan thing, obviously, but not necessarily a Tokyo thing. And it starts with an interesting yuzu note. What's Stephen saying? You'd need to up the sound of the droppers and pipettes, though. Autonomous sensory meridian response YouTube video. No comment. So anyway, Tokyo from Gallivant, to answer Kitty's question still, has got this yuzu note and a pretty good wasabi note, and then an incense facet, and it becomes mainly an incense perfume. And I think what I'm still struggling with is the incense aspect of it, because it didn't especially make me think of Japanese temples, so maybe I need to kind of go back to it. But absolutely, the yuzu note and the wasabi note are spot on and very interesting, and they give the scent the kind of modern edge that you completely associate with Tokyo. Ladies and gents, we're done. And somebody was saying something about Venom. And Arafat, such a shame, the comment you left is too long, and when I click on see more, oh no, it's come. Venom, that review is very biased, as in the Catwoman, right? It's supposed to be fun, for me probably and not you, but I'll let you know. Yeah, okay, I think we might give it a miss. Peggy, what 2 perfumes did you buy? Reveal all now while I shake my creation. Spicy and woody. This had so better be worth the wait. Peggy says Tokyo sounds intriguing. I woke up at wasabi. Okay, so pipettes hypnotize you, and then we go, Peggy, at the count of 1, 2, wasabi. Wake up. Right, we give this a bit of a shake. Anytime you blend fragrance materials together, you do kind of need to give them at least 24 hours to get some sort of sense of what they might be like. And actually, serious perfume blends need to be macerated for weeks. But we will get some sense of what this combo is going to be like. Peggy, you still haven't told us what perfumes you bought. We're not finishing this video without finding out at least one. And yes, Tokyo is well worth checking out, but certainly from the wearings I've had so far, my favourites from the Gallivant brand remain London and Amsterdam. Peggy has bought Encre Noire Extrême from Lalique and Arpège from Lanvin. Nice. So classic and modern classic. Is that because you sort of ran out of your supply of them, or let's all turn to Peggy and ask Peggy questions. Angeline says, is that shaking and macerating info provided in the kit itself? No, I don't think it is actually. That's just me telling you that. I don't think it says anything about, you need to kind of... Does it say anything? No, it does. I tell a lie. It says agitate your fragrance gently. So, sorry. Rather than... And... somebody said I like Peggy's choices. Who was that, Angeline? Blind Buy. Wow, good for you. And Stephen says, coincidence, I just bought the Lalique too. Brilliant. Blind Buy, seriously. Have you not tried the Lalique? It's really good. So agitate gently, sorry. Okay, agitate gently would be like, you're quite annoying. Do you think that's called gentle agitation? And it says, in the following days, your blend will mature to become rounder and softer. And I think that's what happens, is that the various elements just do kind of round each other out. Peggy says the Lalique was based on something you mentioned. Oh, okay. And do you are you enjoying them? Do you like them? Right, people, we're going to spray this now. So this is a bit of the bergamot top and mostly the sandalwood and musk base. Stephen says I'm slightly anosmic to the original. You just talk amongst yourselves, and I just kind of mean that in the nicest possible way. Feel free to have a little conversation. Okay. Oh gosh, that is quite nice actually, because that cedary, pink peppercorny element that is there in the base really goes nicely with the bergamot and almost brings out a sort of floral quality. Ooh, I'm liking this. Thank you, Emmanuel. Nice formula to start with anyway. It'll probably become rubbish as it goes on. No, I'm just joking. And the musks now are suddenly coming across as fuzzier and softer and cuddlier. I think that's the word for this. It's suddenly coming across as a cuddly perfume. Snuggle-worthy. And because I'm not spraying anything else here today, I think what I will do is actually do some on skin, the dreaded skin. Right. And look, they've all gone quiet, no more comments. I'm trying to think of what else I tried this week. I think this week I had a week where I just decided I wanted to wear my own thing. And I also did wear the perfume, the review of which popped up on my blog earlier today at about midday, the Papyrus Oud from Parlement de Parfum, their latest release. Is so good. It's really good, and it's really wonderful if you love the 2003 Gucci Pour Homme. So do check out Persolaise.com for that review. Peggy says sounds really suitable for autumn. Yes, but do you know what it's reminding? It's really reminding me of something now. I was going to say Dune, but I don't mean Dune because it's although suddenly a kind of green quality has come out. Arafat says, yeah, there might be a future in it for you. In what? What are you trying to say? In case anybody's wondering, Arafat is sort of feels free to abuse me like this because he just happens to be my oldest and best friend. But what do you, so you feel free to send him some abuse now. Oh, this is really going to bug me. It reminds me, or maybe it's chance. It reminds me of some kind of woody, musky floral from a big brand, a really, you know, I'm talking like really, really big brand. Maybe it's Chance like, I don't know. Stephen says, I think he means perfume making. Yeah, let's just go with that one, Stephen. Why don't you just go and watch Venom, Arafat, and leave us perfume geeks to our serious work? But on the basis of this very, very non-scientific experiment, I would say this is a fun kit, and it would certainly be a very, very, very fun gift to buy for the perfume lover in your life, for instance, for Christmas, because they can then go away and, you know, mess around with the materials. They could get more of the base, and you can imagine what the next thing will be is that there will be a layers 2 and a layers 3, and I think each one will have its own top, mid and base, and so you could then take, you know, the top from layers 1 and mix it with the base from layers 2 and the mid from layers 3, and really start having fun and coming up with your own concoctions and combinations, and then you'll all make amazing perfumes, and Experimental Perfume Club will be out of business. Or something. I missed a comment. Peggy says the original classic Chloe, perhaps. No, I wasn't thinking that, but maybe. It really reminds me of something there. Right, so very, very quickly then, at the how long did this 15 minutes turn out to be? 36. This is almost as long as a proper Love at First Scent video. Although I suppose it's actually because in a way we were doing we did 3 perfumes and then we had to make one and smell it. So yeah, I guess 15 minutes was always going to be a bit impossible. On its own, the bergamot is now much more tea-like, much softer, much powderier. The jasmine, which we obviously haven't put into this one, is much more overtly white floral, maybe more mainstream-like white floral. And on its own, the base is still quite sort of peppery, cedary, but I guess the musky quality is coming out more. And the combination of the top and the base really, really works. It's, I mean, spicy woody is actually the right description, but the elements are kind of all supporting each other, almost like, you know, champagne bubbles rising to the top of the glass. They're all sort of helping each other along. So in the spirit of usual Love at First Scent practice, I will do a little update comment on Facebook at the bottom of the video and on YouTube as well, telling you how these have developed and also how the skin has developed on my skin and how long it's lasted and what have you. I do like it. It almost has a very, 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 very faintly aldehydic quality. I wonder if one of them has just got a touch of aldehydes. Good beginner's kit, says Peggy. Yes, I mean, it's... You'd struggle to call it a beginner's kit because it doesn't even have single ingredients and they are blends, but it is fun. And I think the thing is that you can't muck it up. You know, you couldn't make something that really smells awful. So it's not like buying somebody a whole load of raw materials and then they put them all together and create this diabolical soup. And I suppose that's the nice thing about this. Whatever you make will probably be wearable. And then you can just experiment with different effects and have fun with it. I think you know the Experimental Perfume Club are really just about having fun with perfumery and demystifying the elements of it that don't really deserve to be mystified. But this brings us to the end of today's not quite so 15-minute broadcast. I will be going to watch A Star Is Born later on. Arafat will probably be going to watch Venom. That tells us everything you need to know. Tells you everything you need to know about us. Thank you very much for tuning in. A proper full-length episode of Love at First Scent with lots of different scents will, I think, be coming your way. Have to go, sorry, says Stephen. Yeah, we're going to, so you're fine, don't worry. Thank you very much for tuning in. Proper full-length episode of Love at First Scent will, I have a feeling it may be next weekend, maybe Sunday, but don't hold me to that, please. It certainly won't be during the coming week. It won't be Monday to Friday. Might be Sunday, but I will confirm on social media. So if you can tune in, then please do. Comments, questions, etc., keep them coming. I really, really appreciate the interaction, even though it took a while. We did have fun today, and I will see you soon. And I have to, because the camera's like further away than it used to be, I have to lean right in to stop it. So have a good weekend, be good, take care, bye.